Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
There you go. 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, perfect timing.
All
That was
right.
great, Andy.
Okay, it being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call to order the Westminster School District Westminster School Board Reorganization meeting to order. Any adjustments to the agenda? Seems I grabbed the wrong one anyway, so that's okay. It's the same one, so. Are you guys, as far as needing to appoint district clerks and all that stuff, is that something you're going to do today?
We can discuss it with you.
Okay.
We talked about it a little bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so then communications or any other adjustments? Okay. Communications from the public? Comment? None?
None.
So I will entertain nominations for election of the chair.
I would like to elect Cheryl.
A second? Need a second?
We do need seconds at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other nominations? I'll entertain a motion to cast one ballot for Cheryl. Close nominations and cast one ballot for Cheryl.
You accept. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
But you have to do aye.
Well, actually, I need a motion
Oh.
to close nominations.
Move that we have one vote for
Okay.
Cheryl as our.
All right. Is there a second for that?
Second.
So can we take now we need a vote on that.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. So I will cast one ballot for Cheryl, and so we'll take. We'll need a second on that one too. So we got the second. So I'll take a vote
For which one? Cheryl?
for Cheryl. Yes.
I thought we just voted on.
No.
No,
Oh,
you
aye.
voted on closing it.
Oh, aye.
I know. I'm sorry.
Aye.
All right. So, Madam Chair.
All right. Well, I'm happy to continue to serve with this great board. So thank you all very much, with our superintendent and staff. So thank you very much. So now we'll entertain a motion to elect a vice chair. The vice chair steps in at a time to run a meeting if the chair is not available, and that's basically the overall responsibility of the vice chair. So any nominations?
Cheryl.
There's a nomination for Charlie Hutchison
Nomination.
to be the vice chair of this board. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, second. Any discussion?
Did you say the vice chair is also the clerk, or is that a separate thing?
Separate,
Okay.
separate, yeah. All right, I think we can just go ahead and vote, right? So I think we're all in this room. All those in favor, just say aye. Aye. Anyone against? All right, Charlie, congratulations and thank you for serving as vice chair of this board. It should be noted for the record you've served in that role for a period of time as well. The next position we need to fill is to elect a clerk, and that person's responsibility, as I've done a little more reading recently, is really to keep track of the minutes and make sure that we have them accurate and up to date on the website. So I think some help in that area actually would be helpful to the superintendent's office as well. Any nominations for the position of clerk? Charlie?
Anybody want it?
I second.
There's a second. All right. Any discussion?
Thank you,
All
Charlie.
right. All those in favor say
Aye. Yeah, Charlie, it's because you're organized, you really are, I have a lot, seriously, I have a lot of confidence in your doing that. That's why I want you to say that. So.
And I was noting also that it's not technically in the responsibilities, but it's a wonderful communications role. And I remember in years past that Rick Gordon actually was the clerk for a long time, and he would often write articles for various local newspapers and kind of help with that. And you're doing that. You self-initiated to do that, which is really helpful as you write with Liz Hardy, the principal, the monthly column for the Gazette. So thank you very much for doing it.
It'd be helpful to review the minutes anyway, so just when I'm thinking about those articles. Yeah, thanks.
We'll be in touch.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, so appointing a district clerk, district treasurer, and an election of assistant treasurer. The district clerk is Pauline in the Westminster town office, so I think we should just acknowledge that she serves in that role. Similarly, Pauline is actually now also the district treasurer for the town of Westminster. And so it would be appropriate to have her appointed in that role. And I'm not sure that we need an assistant treasurer. I don't know that we need to take any action on
That
this.
would, the only time, I think we ran into that was back last year in December when, we had to change over some bank accounts, and it got really imperative, because the treasurer was out of the country. So I think at that point, maybe, having the ability of the chair to appoint someone would be appropriate at that, if we ran into that kind of a problem, so.
Can you do that after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, if you give the power to the chair to appoint anyone to a position, then that could happen. I'm trying to think, that's what happened, that we just ran into that problem, and it was actually, part of the problem also was exacerbated by the fact that it was still the UE, so that caused some of the problems last year for us, so, but that's okay. I mean, I don't anticipate running into that similar problem in the future, so I think you're fine with that one. Long way of saying that, sorry.
Thank you. So the next item is to appoint, this is not an election, but to appoint voting members of the WNESU board. Currently, those persons serving in that role are me, our Karen Blanchard, and our team, VLC. So let me ask if you all are interested in continuing to serve in that role, and if anyone else is interested in serving.
I do have interest.
I'll recuse myself as usual, just because it makes it cleaner.
That's appropriate, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be interested in continuing.
Okay. Karen is interested. Tina, are you interested in?
I'm interested as well, but Margie, if you want to push me off of that.
No, I don't want to push anybody up. I don't want to push anybody up, but I do have interest, and I can go to the meetings. I'm just not a voting member, right?
That's correct.
And-
So,
And you could act as Rockingham just did, and just say that if someone isn't there, that, well, no, that's a meeting, sorry, never mind.
yeah, I think
That was signing the warrant, sorry.
that is signing the warrants.
Got it all
It's not-
confused.
Yeah, for the SU board, it's my understanding that we have 3 positions, and we went through this last year, that we didn't have alternates. We had that discussion
Yeah.
at least last year. So I think it is the case that if we continue with the same appointments with Teen and with Karen and with me, that I really do encourage Margie to listen in whenever you can, to be there, and you're able to participate, you just can't vote,
Right.
which you've seen.
Yes.
I think it's a really important role. Charlie doesn't participate because of a potential conflict of interest, which is appropriate, but you watch
But they
the,
sometimes watch.
yeah, you do. And so, because it is, the meetings are significant,
Yeah.
the proceedings affect Westminster, and so I really appreciate everybody. The 3 of you who are serving as voting members, 3 of us, I should say, but Margie, I really welcome and thank you for being so interested. And I'm sure there will be a time.
Are meetings on Wednesday, Andy? Or is that?
So it's the fourth Wednesday,
Typically.
well, by policy, it was the fourth Wednesday.
They'll reorganize Wednesday instead, or this Wednesday, the SU board will meet and then designate what Wednesday they want to meet.
Okay. But Wednesdays typically.
They are definitely on Wednesdays.
At 6:30.
So that's maybe more than was needed, but historically they've been the second and the fourth Wednesdays of each month, with the fourth Wednesday being the official meeting, the second.
There's an alternate earlier.
The other, that's exactly right. And then because of a conflict with the fact that the Westminster Select Board meets on those dates, it was moved for this year to the first and third Wednesday, but never officially done. It didn't, I mean, like our bylaws still have it as the second and the fourth. So I think Wednesday night, you're going to propose that it go back to the fourth Wednesday.
If it's still a conflict with Westminster and it works for everyone, I don't see why we can't keep it the first and the third. We'll just need to change the policy.
Right. So
Do it officially, that's all.
It would have to be discussed.
Yeah.
I don't, have a strong feeling about that right now.
So how did it come out with you guys? Did you want to relinquish, or would you like to stay on?
I would like to stay on, but I'm serious. Margie feels strongly about it. I wouldn't feel like I was being
No,
shot
not-
at all.
Yeah,
No, I think-
not pushing anybody.
Right. Got it. And I thought
wouldn't
we
be
decided a
excited
minute
to
ago
Oh, sure.
that Dean and Karen and I will stay, and that we
Great.
look forward to Margie serving at some point in time. But in the meantime,
Maybe
really
next
encourage her to keep participating. Thank you
Yes.
very much for doing that. That's great. And appointing, the next item is to appoint a truant officer. I heard you.
Wyndham
Go ahead.
County Sheriff, we'd like to appoint as the truant officer.
And that's what we've done historically, and that's fine. Do we actually need, I'm being a little casual about this, the appointments, you just let the record show that the three are the voting members to the ASU board. I think with an appointment, we probably don't need to vote. That's right.
No,
It's not
because
an election.
you as chair can appoint.
Right. So Wyndham County Sheriff is historically who's been the truant officer.
I
That's
do have a
fine.
question about that thing.
Sure.
Given what the select board said about the performance of the
Yeah.
sheriff's office, is that really where we want to go? Or do we actually get any service from them as sheriff officer?
Well, I've actually been in contact with Sheriff Anderson about this. The Wyndham County Sheriff's Office already provides coverage at many of our sporting events and other events like that. They provide an officer. So I've been in contact with him about providing the services of a truant officer. And one, I think it'll give us consistency across the SU, because there's within the village of Bellas Falls, it was someone different, and so that created some. But then you're in Rockingham, who goes and stuff like that. So, but we've talked about a contract and having a contract signed that we can call and get their services, and they'll get someone out there, and it helps our principals have some clarity, because sometimes they're calling BSP also, that's not their role. So.
That's something we have to pay for, obviously.
Yeah, and it's a pay as you
As needed.
as needed, so it's not an ongoing contract type of thing. So
This school board would pay if it was a Westminster kid. The Westminster school board would pay.
I'd probably it would be absorbed at the SU, because it's minimal.
I see.
To be honest with you, it wouldn't be enough. The only time we would look at it is if you were having an event, let's say, and you were needing some kind of security for that event, because that would be, and it was going to be a long term, a long time, a couple hours, then we'd probably want to charge you back.
Okay.
So.
Not the glow party.
That's great. So
Not the little part.
The glow party doesn't mean security.
That's not what I heard. So.
The next item is to appoint warrant signers. Currently, I sign and Karen signs, and I think we're fine with that. I think it's important that the chair personally be a warrant signer, because I think it's important as kind of oversight to look at where the money's going and that kind of thing. I think the policy that Rockingham just described is what we've historically done. Any board member can be authorized to sign if needed on the checks. So that would just be our operating policy. And we've done that. I mean,
Yes,
a couple of, Teen has signed in a couple of situations. And so,
I will say that that it has been. I've learned a lot, actually, about what different line items are about and what they really are about and all of that stuff. So this period of time that I've worked doing this, I've learned a lot and I feel like I have more expertise now. I don't know how to describe it, but you know, the way I can see and understand what the costs really are. So it's a wonderful opportunity in my mind to be able to do that.
And if there's ever a time, I mean, you've already done it and you're familiar with it, but Margie, if you ever want to kind of come in and see the process, be a part of it, we can schedule that.
Sure.
And one of the things, just as an aside, that we look for is all the documentation behind any check that's there. And we look to make sure that all the approvals are in place, you know, that, so that there's this built-in checks and balances for any expenditure.
Yeah.
And then the team in the office is there if we've got questions.
Yes, they
So that's good too.
Which I had a lot of questions my first time.
That's great. So set time, date, and location of regular monthly meetings. Andy, you've got a proposal for the board to consider. Do you want to-
So my only proposal was instead of and I do apologize, I would go, are you right now the first and third, or are you the second and fourth?
We're the first and third.
The
First and
the
third.
first Thursday be your normal scheduled meeting as opposed to the third Thursday, which it was last year. So, because what happens is when they're all the firsts are that same, it's a lot of meetings in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that would be.
And so if we could spread it out, what I was hoping to do is have the different districts have their regular scheduled meeting in the first 2 weeks of the month, and then the SU and any alternates be later. But still keep Thursdays. It's just flipping the primary date to the first.
So what's the,
Well, I really like, I'm curious. So are we talking about not doing Monday? I mean, I'm trying, this idea of Monday and having, you know.
No, so we will. This is just as a one-off. There is some advantages to this format. I don't disagree. One of the things we are going to propose this year is at least 2 joint all board meetings. So we get all the boards together twice a year. No, what we're talking about is just your regular Westminster board meeting.
No, I do know that,
Yeah.
but part of this had to do with you, in my mind, was you're going to this meeting and that meeting and the other meeting, and we were trying to think about this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I
So
don't.
that's the,
Yeah, I think just if we know the primaries are at the first half of the month, and then that secondary one is just if, you know, like during budget season or something that's come up, it spreads it out a little bit. So
it has impacted my calendar, but I've gone through it, you know, because I plan ahead for the year more or less with
you
obligations.
mentioned that, but I mean,
But I've looked at it, and one thing I like about the proposal, if it works for everybody, if we go to the first Thursday of each month as our regular meeting, then we can see if we need an extra meeting on the third Thursday. And I think there's logic to that. So we plan on the first Thursday, and then if needed. And I think one of the things we've been trying to do, let's see if this makes sense to you, is to actually have one regularly scheduled board meeting per month, except in budget season, when we really do need to meet as a committee of the whole to work on the budget during that period. But I'm okay with our switching to our regular meeting being the first Thursday, if everybody else is, if that works for you.
yeah, it works for me. I know that I can switch the group, so.
That's great, because I have another board that I'm on that's the second week of the month. So listen to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, all right, then we're fine with making that change.
Thank
And
you.
then Andy, for you, then, and actually for those of us on the SU board, the regular meeting is likely to be the last or the fourth Wednesday of the month. So our regular meetings are spread out sort of, but then they might bump up to each other, the last of one month and the first of the next month.
Yeah.
But
Are we gonna keep the time at 6?
whatever,
If you don't mind, please, because it's hard for me to get here earlier.
right.
Actually,
Does that work
that's
for you?
absolutely
I
fine.
like 6 better than 6:30.
No, me too.
Okay,
Whichever. Okay.
Yeah, 6.
okay, we're good with that then.
Well, I don't get to miss bedtime.
Right. That's very important for anybody.
No, I want to.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. I missed that. All right. To establish the newspaper to be used to announce school board functions and activities. Historically, that's been the Reformer, the Brattleboro Reformer, although we can put things in other.
And we did the Gazette.
Yeah, we do that.
I mean, I read that. Yeah.
Westminster.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
At least one person does it.
I love it.
I read it too. There are some interesting stories in there, what people
Yeah.
are doing and what the community is engaged in.
Do we routinely, I don't think you've been doing the column with Liz. Have you put in dates or does she? We might look at that to really expand the coverage that we put into the Gazette.
Dates for the board meetings, you mean, we haven't normally.
For events, I mean, I'm thinking about Friday night is the glow party, right? You know, it would be kind of fun if that were in the Gazette. Things like that.
The Brattleboro Reformer do we ever do the Commons? I'm just curious.
Well, you go ahead and speak to this,
We
Nicole.
put it in the shopper, so we use Brattleboro Reformer primarily,
Yes.
and then we'll, like, after all these meetings, I will put it in the shopper, so those that read it will know.
So, it's interesting. I only get the shopper with without the stories. I mean, I don't know why that's truly.
Mhm.
And I have a feeling it's because we're on let's see. Even though obviously in Westminster, we have to use the Putney Post Office.
Right.
Oh, so you don't get it delivered.
So I guess I get delivered the shopper that only has the advertisements in it. Are you with me? It's not the shopper that I used to get. So maybe I could talk to them about it.
They have,
Yeah.
they can send it electronically as well, I believe.
Can they?
But I can find out that information and send it to
Nicole,
you.
that would be great because I really missed it actually because there was a lot of important
I
information.
don't put it in every
No.
week or every month,
Yeah.
but like quarterly, just
Yeah,
as a reminder.
Sure.
When you warn meetings, that you put that in which newspapers?
The Reformer.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And let the minutes show, Nicole, that in addition to kind of using the Reformer as the paper record for things like meeting warnings and such, we do want to expand the coverage in the Westminster Gazette just to let community members know more about what's going on here. Building on the lovely monthly article that Charlie and Liz Hardy do.
Well, it hasn't been every month lately because there isn't that much going on at the school that is worth reporting every single month. But if we intersperse it with board things, particularly around the developing of plans for solar panels or whatever, there'd be more stuff to report.
Yeah, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
Next item is to adopt Robert's Rules of Order. I'd like a motion to that effect.
For small boards? Or do you want to keep it?
No, yeah, we can say the motion can read that we move to adopt Robert's Rules of Order for small boards.
So move.
Thank you. Perfect.
A second?
And a second until that's
Even though
done.
we don't-
Then after that, we don't
I'll
need a
have to
second.
do it. That's right.
All right, exactly. So, any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we will use Robert's Rules of Order for small boards. And Andy, I think I said this before you came in the room, but the new draft guidelines for board members are great. You've put a lot,
Thank you.
you've put a lot of
Yeah.
effort into that. I think they're just quite helpful, including that section on Robert's Rules.
We borrowed a lot from other districts.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
anyway.
That's great. No, the sharing of other districts is great because not one person has all the answers. So and that'll be posted probably under the boards, your little tabby. And so if things need to be updated, we'll kind of add to it as it goes. So it's kind of a working document.
Okay, when did you get that copy?
I got
Extra.
I didn't have electricity, so I couldn't print it last week, and I forgot this week.
I have others in
Love it.
But where is this? You sent this to us.
Yeah, it's
Nicole sent it
Nicholson.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need.
because there are hyperlinks. In it.
Right, exactly. I'd like to click on some of these. Cool.
I think at another time, we might return to the idea of participating in the Vermont School Boards Association. You drew quite a bit of information in the guidelines document from that resource, and it does have a lot of helpful services. We are the only supervisory union in the state that's not a member, or are member school districts.
One of a few,
One of a few. And so-
like maybe 4.
So that's a story, and it's not on the agenda for tonight, but I think we might have a discussion about kind of the value and where we think we are with that. But I do, back to what a good job you did with this document, there are many links to that, and I encourage all of us to go to the Vermont School Board Association website and get additional information.
So while we're just on that, we just got the notification for the school board training that VSBA does, that it's actually a requirement for chairs,
That's right.
but it is open to any board member who wants to go. This year it's in person. It's not, I believe it's May 17th, but don't quote me because we weren't prepared to, we're going to send that out to, but if board members want to go and whatnot, we can sign you up for it.
Where does it take place?
I believe it's going to be up north.
Everything's
So the south, the north-south dot.
divide.
And it's all day. It's like an all day.
So when you say up north, do you want Montpelier or Burlington or?
Barry, Montpelier. I'm not sure exactly where it will be, but
Can we go if we're not part of?
yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
and it's open to any board member.
Okay.
There is a fee, but I mean it's nominal. And so we'll get that out to everybody. We just
I'm sending it out to you guys on Thursday.
Okay.
yeah, we just got it today, so we hadn't dug into it.
So, and board chairs are required to participate in 8 hours of,
That's what that
Service.
training is.
so it's going to be an 8-hour
Yeah.
more or less day. Yeah. And that everybody's encouraged, if you can, to participate. So that's great. Out of sequence, but I want to go back to the warrant signing, and you made mention in the Rockingham meeting of wanting people to sign by Thursdays. We get the notices on Thursdays.
So talking with the business office also to get them to change their practices a little bit if they can, because the question I had to them is, can they be ready if I make that request? They said they could be. So they're going to try and be ready. Again, we're just starting to see where some of our vendors, but also some employees, where their checks are being held up and then they don't get paid and they're looking for payments on Friday, or they're looking for their check on Friday. And if the warrants, Jim and I fully agree with them, unless it's signed off on, we're not sending them out. We're not sending out checks.
Right.
And so if we don't get them signed by Friday, then that means they're not going out until Monday, and with the mail that, our vendors are starting to get to a point where they're like, why is it getting delayed? And then if any board member has a concern with a certain one, and I'm not saying this board, some boards, like, they won't sign it at all. You have a line item, you can say, I'm not going to sign, but they won't sign. And so then all the checks get held up. And so we're trying to just be ahead of it a little bit more. We're not saying you have to be in on Thursday. We're just asking if that's all we're asking.
So usually Trish sends out an email that says
On Thursdays.
on Thursday.
Right. No. And so I checked with them
So
before
they
I
could
made
send it
that
out on
request.
Wednesday,
I-
is what you're asking.
Yes.
If they send it out on Wednesday, then we can go on Thursday.
So I asked them if they would be prepared if I made this request.
Yeah.
I didn't want to set them up for failure either.
Yeah,
So they said they felt they could be ready for Thursdays.
Well, we will stay tuned.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's good. So we've adopted Robert's rules. We don't have to do seconds for every motion. Our next set of assignments are to committees, and we have a little list of them there. So these are, volunteer roles, as everything else is. Simply one person for each of these. Building and grounds currently has been Karen. Budget and finance, we do committee of the whole. We all participate in the budget development, although there is a SU-wide finance committee, and I go to those meetings. and I'm happy to continue to do that. Teacher and support staff negotiation. Actually, we have one per school district, and I have been serving in that role, and I've been our spokesperson. I don't use the term lead negotiator, but the spokesperson for the negotiating team. And I'm happy to continue to do that. And that's an example of a place where continuity is actually really helpful.
Well, you did an
And we
amazing job.
will be entering into, hopefully negotiations this fall.
Right, this coming fall, yeah. And having said that, the continuity is helpful. Some experience with the process is helpful. Anything we can do to have others of you learn more about that, let's try to figure out a way for that to occur. The CIP team representative, you've got a new name for it, it's not CIP, and teen has been in that role.
So the state's been playing with it's the continuous improvement plan. And so they went away from SIP, they went to recovery. At some point, we're going to come out of recovery, hopefully. So we're not sure exactly what that is, but what we're looking to do is probably that'll turn into a triennial, maybe a quarterly meeting where we just sit down and review what we're working on and stuff of that nature, curriculum, but also we have buildings and ground stuff. I mean, it'll all be part of our continuous improvement that we're looking at, but also some of our social emotional stuff and all of our other initiatives, the nature-based, work-based, all of those things are all incorporated into that. So obviously we welcome all participation, so we're not trying to limit it in any way. But
Well, that's good. That's a good philosophical statement that whereas we might have a point person for each of these committees, that we're all encouraged and welcome to come to any meetings that are established.
yeah, I mean, like building and grounds. I mean, when we come to start discussing potential safety entry, redoing the safety entrance at Westminster, we're going to come to the board. We're not, and if you want to hold a separate building and grounds committee, I would encourage all members to be there. I mean, we'll warn it, and it could be a separate discussion. When we get to, we've been working on a camera and door piece, so adding more cameras and whatnot. I think it's really important that all board members know what we're looking at and going into and stuff of that nature. So that's not a, I mean, we'll try and envelop everybody in there, but when we're looking at SU-wide stuff, that's also where we're looking for a point person. So
That makes sense. I didn't finish the list, and Charlie's been going to the policy committee
Well, I
meetings.
was until, but it conflicts with my schedule now, so I haven't been for a while.
Oh, okay.
They're holding it at 3:30.
Yeah, when is it? I haven't
Well,
seen
so
a policy.
well, we haven't had one in a while.
Yeah.
But we'll have to put a schedule out because we'd like to get on it. We've gotten all the required ones done now, so now we're going to get into a maintenance of other policies, and we should be on a 3-year rotation on those policies. So
Yeah, I can go to those.
So I think once we know who all the members are going to be, we'll put out some proposals of dates and
Sure.
try and get.
I mean, I can't do them if they're during the day.
Well, she's
The last
3:30,
two have been
5:30 is
3:30,
up.
Yeah.
The last few
It was
mornings.
like
I've
5:30 on
Yeah,
Tuesday is
the-
when we worked.
It's
Five-
been 1 hour, 5:30 to 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay, it's still hard to read.
Work day.
But maybe I can do it. If it's 5:30, I can go to it. So it wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
So, reviewing this, are you okay with the same kind of designations, Karen for building and grounds and all of us for budget? I'm going to jump down to the recovery team. Do you want to stay in that role still? It's curriculum related, and so that's great. And policy, I think, Mary, you just stepped into that.
Yeah.
Charlie is willing to do that as well. I think the chair, at least the current chair, I guess that'll be reestablished, but Priscilla was always looking for one voting person for each district. But I thought if one of you was there,
Yeah.
one of you would vote, but it was helpful to have you both listening in and weighing in.
Yeah, there's always like one person missing, and it's by consensus anyway. So
Oh, okay.
you're not really a voting member in that way.
If we can come back, if what we're saying here is that we've kind of got a point person for each of these, which I think is really helpful. Looking at what's going on with buildings and grounds, we actually have a lot to do now
Yes.
that the town has voted to support our recommendations in the form of the articles. The biggest of which is the potential solar installation, but also the security kind of enhancements and other capital improvements or enhancements that may be needed. I actually have a short list of those that I think would be helpful. Andy, you've got the report that you sent out to the principals, but the one that talks about possible capital improvements that are needed. So if
We can share that with the board.
yeah, if you can share that with the board. But I actually think that the Buildings and Grounds Committee, per se,
Yeah.
is going to need to work on an agenda that includes these major items.
We're also, just so you're aware, didn't come up in the last meeting, but on Thursday, we're pulling together the head maintenance folks and principals for a facilities committee, which we may look to try and pull in at least one representative from each board, because we're looking at an overarching, not a strategic plan for each district. I mean, each district's going to have to come up with their own strategic plan, but basically an overarching strategic plan, so that as we get into, again, things like if there is a surplus, how can we advise you of what you're looking to try and do? What do we, so we, when we all win the lottery and the next group comes in, the roadmap's already kind of put out there. So we'll be looking to have each district or building, if you will, and then the district develop their own kind of strategic plan for what they want to do, capital improvements and building and grounds. And then that'll feed into, part of that strategic plan. Well, each district will have their own committee, type of stuff. So we're just trying to formalize some things and get some process in place. So.
And when are you planning on doing that?
So that's Thursday at 3:30, I think. And it was really just trying to get people together so we can just kind of...
Every Thursday or this Thursday?
This Thursday was an hour long, just kind of establishing some things with those, because those heads of maintenance are very busy. And,
yes.
I want to be very aware of their time, and they may not need to be on that. They may just say, we come in when we can get there, kind of thing. So
the 23rd you're talking about, this coming Thursday,
Yep.
right, at 3:30.
Cheryl, I'm thinking that as with the budget, where we need to be a committee of the whole, it seems like there might be a need to be a committee of the whole for buildings and grounds, because we've got some big decisions to make and a lot of money to allocate.
I agree.
And I think,
But I think if you
So
have
that would just
a
probably
standard
finish.
person,
yes, that maybe that second meeting slot of the month for a while ought to be a rather intensive look at what our plans are for just the buildings and grounds.
For all of those things that were voted on and approved by the public, what do the rest of you think of Charlie's proposal for a while, using the second meeting of each month to really look at these items that were approved that we need to step up?
I agree, because I feel like we get behind. I get nervous about losing time. So yeah.
And it would be nice if it was just dedicated to that.
Yes.
I think it would make us really
Focus.
focused. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's true.
So that would be the third Thursday potentially?
Yep, first and third. And so our next regular meeting is on April 6th. That's the first Thursday of the month. And then,
Not that we might not cover some of that ground at the regular meeting if it's the case, but
fair enough.
we should devote, I think we need to devote a good chunk of time early in the year to what our vision is and what our options are for all of these. A lot of funds would be allocated to spend.
Yeah, I think Teen's point about having that second meeting totally focused in on that.
Yeah, that's a
Would
good
be
idea.
great.
Did you mention something about Andy hiring somebody to help us with?
or the person from Walpole, where are we with
yeah,
that?
so we brought on Stephen Horton as a project manager, kind of consultant. So I'm meeting with him on Thursday again, but he's been, we provided him all our different projects, and he's done projects all around in Vermont, New Hampshire, and other states also, large projects. So he'll be more overseeing getting the contractors, so we don't have to be focused on it. Like there's someone else who's an expert in this area. And he's extremely knowledgeable. So again,
So he'll be at that meeting on
he
Thursday.
may or may not, I don't know. So, but so something like your solar project,
Yeah.
he could come in and oversee it, work on your vendors, and so you don't need to do all that stuff. He would then work on getting the bids out, and making sure they're following all the, it went right out of my head. The law on making sure that we're following all the federal guidelines for
Procurement?
Davis-Bacon. That's what I'm thinking. Davis-Bacon is, if you're using federal monies, you have to be paying your employees a certain way, and it's a lot of paperwork stuff, but he can oversee and make sure all that. He's got connections with vendors. He's well known in the industry, so contractors work with him and stuff like that. So.
But then you give up some control of it a little bit.
Well, he works for us. He works directly for us, so it's us telling him what we want, and then he does what we want him
He
to do.
implements it.
Yes.
Okay.
Karen, you?
Yeah, I just want to be clear. So as sort of the, rep for this bigger meeting, I'm just saying on Thursday.
So that's separate from the SU building and grounds. I just want to be very
No,
clear.
It's fine. I'm really trying to get sort of located on buildings and grounds. Since we talked about the second meeting that we're going to do, we're going to focus in on this. But you mentioned in the beginning that there is this meeting on Thursday
Mm-hmm.
for the building and grounds
It's
view. I'm just asking the body here, whether or not you want me to be at that meeting, which is what I thought. So
that's why I was trying to be very clear. So
there's this meeting on the second.
There's an SU building and grounds committee,
Yes.
and then there's Westminster can have its own building and grounds
Yes.
committee. This facilities committee
Yes.
is really just an overarching. It's a strategic planning
Yes.
committee. So we welcome you to be there, but it's going to be not talking about solar panels on.
No,
on
I
schools.
understand that.
Okay.
When you talked about facilities, I just feel like it would be helpful to have a person there because of that discussion. And
Yeah.
then when we have our second meeting, that's talking about anyway.
Yeah.
I'll be there,
Okay.
if that's okay with everybody.
Thank you. That'd be good. Great. But can we probe this just a little bit more? I'm thinking about the solar for a minute and the fact that this is a Westminster project, and yet you've got a person under contract for the supervisory union. To what extent can we call on the services of this person to help us with a Westminster specific project?
We've hired them for anything in the SU. So
Fantastic. And so, thinking about that with a project as large as the solar installation, given the price tag involved, we know we have to get 3 bids. At least that's the requirement.
there's a
unless there
whole
were-
way you have to go out to bid.
Exactly. So will he be able to help us with that? Okay. Perfect time.
That's why we brought him on, because of his knowledge
like
in
this.
these areas that we just don't have.
The high school has a huge project underway. Westminster has this other one. Another example of that is how we get the analysis of the roof at Westminster done to see whether engineering-wise it can take the weight.
And he can handle that.
Yeah, those are the
kind of things he can take on.
So how do we get him the information he needs? Help us with the process.
Well, would it make sense for him to come to that third
Third.
Thursday
Yes.
board meeting?
If he can.
I'm meeting with him on Thursday, and so I can clarify on Thursday.
Okay.
What you can show him the articles that were approved by the voters in Westminster, and it includes not just the solar, but security enhancements, but it also includes the enhancements for outdoor learning and improvements to our makerspace and things like that. So it's a whole host of projects that we need some help with.
Mhm.
And so again, it's exciting. I did have an opportunity to meet him when he was being interviewed, and He has tremendous expertise. So
That's
And,
great.
and now that you, now that you've approved those, because I've just given them all our ESSER projects, so we can start adding those projects up. So that's not an issue.
in addition to the ESSER projects, which is where you're starting. Yes, Margie.
What's the price limit at which we have to bid it out?
40,000.
Oh, man.
Anything
Okay.
over 40,000.
Okay.
But then when you get into over 500,000, then you get into a whole nother bidding process.
Okay. And where can I find that information? That kind of information?
We have a procurement packet that the business office can give you.
Okay.
There's a whole procedure on what has to happen in the business office.
I wonder if it's worth having us like create a shared drive for the board where we can keep these kind of documents in it. And then like even the board rules that Andy sent out, if we just had a space where we weren't like searching emails.
Yes,
Like,
that's
we
what I'm
always-
always doing.
We used to have shared drives that we could access.
We don't any longer. We can set them up, but nobody was accessing them.
Okay.
Things were being sent out like multiple different versions, Word, PDF on the drive, and then
Okay.
I would just also caution the
Yes.
open meeting laws that you just don't want to be replying to all the time.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
And having discussions
This
but
is-
even in a document, a shared document, if you're all editing it, you may be in violation of open meeting.
I
laws.
just mean more like for things like this, the school board guidelines,
Yep.
the procurement document you were talking about.
Yes.
We can
Stuff
create a
that's
drive.
easy.
That's easy. We'll
For
do
all
that.
boards, I would recommend having
Yep.
all boards have access to it.
I
They're not
agree.
individual
Okay,
districts.
I think that makes sense too.
I'll access it.
I will too.
Yeah,
Right.
the shared drive.
It's handy, it's helpful. So I think, looking at the agenda, new business for discussion and action, I think we're addressing it by talking about the results of town meeting, all the actions that were approved. We need to put procedures in place to help us fulfill all those things that were approved. And other old business, I don't have anything specific tonight, but we'll look forward to our next meeting, which would be we said on April 6th at 6 o'clock at the Westminster Center School. And unless there's any other business, we can just go to director's comments.
Well, I just quick one question.
Sure.
Will we warn the subsequent third Thursday meeting at that first meeting, or do we need to do it now?
We don't need to do it now. It was just our understanding. We are planning on that meeting.
Yeah.
On the
And-
third
and we're-
Thursday.
Yeah, and we're especially looking at all of the things that were approved by the voters that we need to make plans to fulfill. I think we should just say for the record how grateful we are to the voters of Westminster for all their support.
That was my director's comment.
Oh, okay. Well,
have to
let's
say-
go around the table.
No, I'm just saying,
Go ahead, Karen.
no, when we're talking about the articles, I feel like all of the background work that was done by everybody to make sure that the notes were there and made a difference. People that I spoke with were so happy that that was there and that they could look at that information. So I just, we learned something about that to be able to do it. Anyway, and this meeting was great and I feel like it's clear about what we're planning on doing. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited for this next year.
Congratulations on being elected.
Thank you.
Were the results ever posted anywhere?
I
How
never
many
saw any
votes we got?
results.
They were not on the town
You sent them
website.
out.
We sent them out.
You sent the results, but not the number of votes. So the town hasn't posted it.
Usually you have to call them, but normally they're plainly.
they might have them in their minutes. I mean, we can post what we received from the town. So we can do that.
First time I was elected by Amy.
We were unopposed.
I was wondering how many people participate.
When I voted at 3 o'clock, they had 136 votes
Oh.
out of 2,000 something.
Well, that's true. Any other directors' comments, team?
No, just thank you to the town for supporting the articles. I think there'll be a lot of good work that we're gonna be able to do with the building.
Charlie.
Welcome back, everybody, and me too. It's great to be together again, and lots of wonderful work to look forward to. And I'm very grateful to you, particularly Cheryl, because I thought you prepared for that town meeting exhaustively and and very, very thoroughly. You prepared us and you prepared the voters, so it was really great. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Agreed.
Well, we have our work cut out for us, and you know, I was writing something today, and about this role, thinking about it. It's a request that we got from Katie, sitting over here, and you know, why we choose to serve, right? Was the question, and I really do think of it as an honor and a responsibility. It's you know, it's just really important service.
It's fun.
And it's fun. Is that what you just said?
No, not for you, because you've got about 100 of them. But
Right. But I do think we're sitting right now on so many opportunities that we need to do our best to fulfill. And it's exciting because there, you know, this extraordinary surplus that came our way for a variety of reasons. We have the opportunity to really make some investments now that will serve the children, the families, but also the taxpayers. If we can prevent some additional costs by doing some maintenance now, by putting in a solar array that can reduce those electrical expenses. Now, I'm not sure it'll get to zero, but I think it will be significantly less. I know it will be significantly less. So with all of that, thanks everybody, and see you at the next meeting.